Time to head downhill through Route 17, and one thing that annoys me in this route is how slow it takes to go back up or to the sides. They actually improved that a bit in later generations by allowing you to move fast in every direction, but if you don't press anything, it only goes down, which pretty much goes against all logic, but at least it makes for less aggravating gameplay. Now there's one thing that I missed in the last video, and I only got it when rewatching it again. I probably missed it because I was too busy talking, but there's a trainer's opening battle dialogue which said, "Hey, you bumped into me." Well, just think about it for a second. If you activate the battle by going in front of him, then that no longer applies. It's like that girl near the end of the rock tunnel who says, "Did you touch me?" Makes absolutely no sense, and it's clear that they didn't think those lines of dialogue all the way through. Now, the first scans of Mystery Dungeon 3 came out today, and surprisingly we're seeing old friends that were supposedly annihilated during the events of Mystery Dungeon 2. I'm talking about Grovyle. There's no money in fighting kids, and then he fights me anyway? What were those game designers smoking? I was just talking about lines they didn't think through. Well, that one is another blatant example. And besides, if he wins half of my money after he beats me, if he beats me, well, it's still worth something like $75,000. I haven't checked what I have right now, but it's gonna be a fortune. Now, as for Mystery Dungeon 3, as I said, there are going to be some returners such as Grovyle, Dusknoir, and his squad of Sable Eyes. They were all supposed to be annihilated along with the post-apocalyptic future when Primal Dialga was beaten, but no, are we going to get a split timeline storyline or something? So of course what that means is that Mystery Dungeon 3 is going to be a direct sequel to Mystery Dungeon 2, unlike 2 versus 1. And the number of starters isn't 21 as I said in the last video, it's going to be 19, which means 2 old starters are going to be dropped. I don't think they're going to touch the 12 normal starters, I don't think they'll touch Pikachu either, so that leaves Meowth, Skitty, and Munchlax. My money's on Meowth and Skitty, but I'm pretty sure Skitty's gonna have to go. Now, I was supposed to give you my opinion on Vulpix and Phanpy, but before then, just a word for if you're wondering, if you want to use Eevee and you're wondering which evolution you want to evolve it into, well, personally, I have a soft spot for Jolteon. It's got Agility, Double Kick, Pin Missile, and of course the electric hallmarks, Thunderbolt, Shockwave, and Discharge. Now the other evolutions have some nice moves too, such as Vaporeon and Glaceon having Water Pulse, Ice Beam, and Blizzard, but Jolteon's move pool is just way too good to pass up, especially if you're gonna use Eevee and its rather diminutive move pool. You wanna have it be worth it in the end, so do yourself a favor and pick Jolteon. Okay, now the last 2 starters. Vulpix, another fire starter? There were already 4 of them. Why another? And what does it have that's different from the 4 others? It's got Confuse Ray and Dark Pulse. Now Dark Pulse is neat, I'll admit that, but it's not good enough to warrant using it over the classic fire starters. Especially since those get moves like Smoke Screen, Quick Attack, and Fury Swipes naturally and very early. So there's a compelling case that can be made for those, not Vulpix. Now as for Phanpy, well, you thought Skitty was bad? Phanpy is the mother load of shit. In Mystery Dungeon, Magnitude, Earthquake, and Dig are garbage, so it's got no stab moves, it's got no ranged move either, and it hasn't even got a decent multi-hit move. Oh, it's got Rollout. Now Rollout is a special case. It would be pretty good if the damage increased as you land hits, but the problem is, I never ever noticed that the damage went up. It was always the same damage whenever you land 2 hits or more, which in Mystery Dungeon is quite rare. So basically, what it is, it's a clone of Rock Blast that stops the moment you miss. And with 40 accuracy or something, you're not going to be hitting very often. If you can hit 5 times in a row, then you better go get a lotto ticket before your crazy luck runs out. Now it learns Flail at level 6, and as I said in the last video, Flail and Reversal are awesome, but the problem is that it's got absolutely nothing to back it up. The only move that's remotely interesting in Phanpy's move pool is Rock Slide because of the flinch chance, and it's a melee attack on top of that. So let's recap. No good stab move, no good multi-hit move, no ranged move, and seriously, I can't imagine having to do all your fighting at melee range until you're able to switch your leader around. Against bosses, you are fucked. And if Mystery Dungeon 3 is as hard as the Mystery Dungeon 2 was, then using Phanpy is just an extra handicap. It's like the Mystery Dungeon equivalent of a low-level game or something. There's no redeeming factor to that. And to top it all off, as I said in the last video, it's not even popular at all. So, not popular, no move pool, equals, they make it into a starter? The fuck? Oh, and by the way, Mystery Dungeon 3 is due out in Japan in spring. Yeah, the release is that close. I was surprised. I was expecting something along the lines of a fall release in Japan and maybe spring 2010 in America, but spring 2009 in Japan, that's a bit surprising. And what that means too is that Arceus isn't going to be in this game either, since it's practically unimaginable that Arceus would be in a game when its movie hasn't even been out yet. Unless, of course, it's put in the game code anyway, and then it's going to be accessible via an unlockable event, dungeon, or mission, or whatever that's going to become available at a later date. And what that means as well, that early release, is that the game will probably be out in America this year. Usually it takes between 6 and 9 months to translate a Pokémon game. Usually it's going to be like 6-7 for the main games, but a bit longer for the spin-offs. So, yeah, my money for Japan is on an April release. That would make a lot of sense because they've got a big history in the Pokémon franchise of April releases. So yeah, if it's released in April, then we can expect it from anywhere between October and January next year. But back to this Let's Play for a minute, I think we've hit the point in the game where we're going to see mostly evolved forms from here on in. I mean, we saw a lot of them in the Sylph Tower, but we saw also a lot of first forms like Magnemite and Koffing and Grimer, but now there are a lot of Weezings and Mox, and well, that's good news for me since I'll have a lot more opportunities to make some big experience points. Now I'm gonna stop this here for now and see you in part 56 where I hopefully reach Fuchsia.